rent comes out to exactly $249, and she's got $250 in security deposit. So really the only issue is it reasonable for Miss Owens to pay you 1 month's rent to have given you a full 30 days notice of her intention to leave? Do you think it was reasonable for you to give her 1 month's notice, 30 days notice?
I didn't even know until 3 weeks prior that I would be moving out.
That's not her fault.
I know.
That's your fault.
That. Yeah, I
That's your
understand
fault.
that.
And 30 days notice is not unreasonable, because
No,
if she were to give the landlord 30 days notice pursuant to the lease, then she could have, I don't care if she went home to live with her mother. I don't care if she went home to live with this guy. I don't care if she goes into a shelter. That's not the issue. The issue is you had to do the right thing and give her 30 days notice, which you didn't do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I understand that.
So, minimally, you owe her $425, which is your half of the rent for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the bills is more than covered by her security. You left the place pretty clean?
Oh, yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $425. That's all.
Excuse me, step out, please. That's case number 499 on the calendar, the matter of Todoran versus Bracken. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Todoran, who was your witness?
My old roommate, Julie Perry.
Does she have information with regard to this case?
We lived together when Chad and I first started dating and when I moved out to New York with him.
That doesn't answer my question. Does she have evidence with regard to this case, or is she just here for moral support?
She's
Is not an answer. Come on. You're going to law school?
Yes.
All right. That's what I gather from your complaint. If you're going to law school, you give me an answer. Does she have evidence? Does she have testimony to offer? Or is she here as just for good company?
She just has testimony.
Just has testimony. What year of law school are you in?
First.
Okay. And he?
I'm learning.
It's Ryan Barr. That's one of my best friends from New York. He'll offer testimony. He helped move the furniture.
Okay, good. You two people used to be in love with each other. You lived together for a little while. You don't anymore. And you claim he owes you some money for a loan, and he's got some property that belonged to you, a sofa or something that he agreed to pay for, and he didn't when you broke up. Mr. Bracken says that you were involved in a give-and-take relationship. That's what people do when they live together. Sometimes you paid, sometimes he paid. He owes you nothing.
Correct.
When did you move in together and where?
We first moved into an apartment. It was in June of 2003.
Listen to me. Is that the apartment we're talking about in this case?
There are 2 apartments. We moved into
I'm
one.
not interested in the first apartment in 2003.
They're both 2003.
Get to the one where you were living in, where you say you had to advance money for the security and first, last, and security. When was that?
That was July 2003.
How much was the rent on the apartment?
$1,700 a month.
What were you doing at the time?
I got a job as a freelance designer.
And he?
He was a production assistant.
And you agreed to split the rent?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Good. Did you give her money for rent?
Yes, I did.
How much?
Half the rent. And what would happen a lot of times is...
I'm talking about when you first moved in.
Sorry.
When you first moved in, you have to give first, last, security. It's a whole big chunk of money.
Right.
Did you have that money to give her?
It did not happen in July the way you're stating it.
That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
So you did not give her that money. How much did you give the landlord in July?
$5,000.
You have proof of that?
I have a receipt for my deposit and for $1,700, and I have the receipt for the broker's fee that I paid of $1,700.
Well, let me see what you have the receipt from. You should have the receipt from everything. You should have your check, cancel checks.
Your Honor, I didn't keep a lot of the documentation because he was my boyfriend and I trusted him and I loved him and I did not think that I would ever need these kind of things. We had an oral agreement.
Listen to me, my dear.
I trusted him. I know it was stupid.
Listen to me, my dear. You're going to law school. When 2 people love each other and are committed to each other, they get married. Then we have courts for them. What happened with you is you decide to come into court and to sue him and say, listen, I didn't keep my receipts. I don't have proof, but we had an agreement. And our agreement when we moved in together was we were going to split the bills down in half, right? And we didn't. I paid more. And he says, well, there came a time when you moved into this apartment that you lost your job.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the slack.
No, he didn't.
Well, that's what he's saying.
He's lying.
Just a second. How am I supposed to figure that out?
I moved out in December, and I paid rent through the end of January to give him time to find a new place, because actually we were getting evicted.
Show me.
I can't. I called the landlord, and they refused to send me receipts since I was involved in a lawsuit. I'm telling the truth. I'm under oath. I would not make this up.
Did you break the lease?
We did. They just let us out. They just let us out of it.
What happened in 2004?
He made payments to me all year.
How much?
He paid me payments of $62, $100, $60, $50, $150. The last payment was this past December, 2004. I have the cashier's check right here for $150.
How much did he pay you in total?
$422.
What did you give her $422 for?
I felt that I owed her after, because every time I would try to negotiate with Ms. Todoran and say, because she always stuck with that number. And
What number?
$5,800. And I said, there's a lot of things that we need to talk about, why certain expenses shouldn't be considered in that debt and other things like that. Now, so what I came to determine was $1,400. And so I was acting in good faith by paying towards that.
Okay, so let us say that after 2.5 years, you decided that $1,400 was your fair share.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you paid for some things, she paid for some things. Neither of you have records.
I have records. I can show
So
everything.
why didn't you finish paying the $1,400?
No, I did. That's
She
what
said
the
she
payment...
got $400 from you, $422.
Okay, I can show...
Show me canceled checks for more.
Certainly.
And then we're out of here.
Well, I can only show you $300 in addition to what she is saying.
Show me.
Is that, as well as I have copies of the... I would write bills down that I owed on legal
Just a second. I
pads.
see one thing for... What?
It's very hard to tell this
I see
stuff
one
from-
thing for $150.
And the other thing does say 150. It's hard to tell.
Well,
know
I
it's
can't read it. If
undernumbered.
I can't read it, my dear, then it doesn't exist.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She said she would stay until February. In actuality, 3 days later, she was packing when I got back from work.
It must have been your personality.
And later today,
I want him to leave me alone because I have a restraining order against him.
Your son has to get over the fact that she doesn't want to have anything to do with him anymore.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Emily Todoran says ex-boyfriend Chad Bracken owes for loans and a couch. Emily says moving to New York with Chad was a big mistake.
She has 422. Does that include a check on November 29th, 2004 for 150?
I have a copy of that right here.
Okay. You got credit for it.
Okay.
422. So what happened to the rest?
All
What
right.
happened to the other $1,000, Mr. Bracken?
Okay. Now the rest, well, there are payments. As Ms. Todoran said, we didn't keep a lot of these things, so I've shown you everything that I do have.
All right. So let's
But I
start from
do
the...
have, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I do have all the expenses from moving her furniture, which was 6 months after she left, actually almost 7 months after she left, that I kept with me. I moved twice. Mr. Barr helped me move these things into Brooklyn. Now, when we moved from New York, I moved everything and paid all the expenses to return her furniture to her.
How much was that?
$1,227.
Did you receive furniture from him?
No, I did not.
Just what did you return to her, sir?
I returned all her stereo equipment, a television.
Nope.
Show me the address where you sent it.
I didn't send it. She came and picked it up from my house when I got back to Indianapolis.
Lies.
You said expenses to send it back to her.
No, to move it back.
Give it back to him. You owe her $1,000. That's based on your statement, sir, because I'm not going through your bills from 2.5 years ago. $50 here and $12 there. Let's take what you have.
Okay.
The debt that you acknowledge was $1,400, and you paid her $422. That leaves about $1,000. Now, what about this couch that she says that she sold to you and you never paid her for?
Okay, can I just back up 1 second?
Yeah.
So the moving expenses...
I'm getting so bored with this.
All right. All right,
Lies
the
are boring.
furniture. Basically, the furniture, when she decided to move, she said she would stay until February. In actuality, 3 days later, she was packing when I got back from work in a minivan. Now...
It must have been your personality.
I can't speak to what was in her head.
Whatever.
I
The
can't
couch,
speak to what her...
the couch.
Okay, so she left 3 days later in a minivan. She said, I can't, move this furniture. I said, well, if you're going to charge me half of it, take the furniture with you. She said, no, I can't move it, you keep it.
Okay, and your version of the couch?
My version of the couch is we went to the store together with the intention of purchasing a couch and paying for half of it, which I have the receipt for
No,
right
you weren't
here.
intending to purchase a couch for half. You were intending to purchase a couch for full price.
Yes, so I
And you were
purchased...
each going to pay half.
I purchased the couch for full price, and before I purchased it, I said, you're going to pay me back for half of this, correct?
Just don't
And
look
what
at
did-
it. Don't look at it.
Okay, and he said yes. So then when I was moving, he was going to stay in New York for an indefinite period of time. So I said, you know what, you keep the couch, you still owe me half for it, but you just go ahead and keep it.
Listen, when two young people want to play house, they shouldn't irritate me. You have the couch?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you return her stereo equipment?
Absolutely.
No.
Did you return her television set?
I returned everything.
Go ahead.
Sometime in April or something, the new apartment he lived in New York, like, burnt down.
Did he return any property to
No,
you?
he returned my TV, but my stereo apparently was damaged in the fire.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,000. That's all. Step out. Don't play house anymore.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The defendant is probably the biggest liar I've ever met in my entire life.
When we got to the end of the relationship and she hadn't been employed for 2 months, she realized she'd be safer back at home. I think she left.
I thought Chad was sketchy all along, so I was actually warning her at the time when she wanted to move to New York with him to not do it.
She made a bad decision being in New York, and she paid for it, and she wanted me to be the easy target.
I just don't understand how a person like that can live their life and get out of bed and think they're a good person every day. And his hair is kind of disturbing, too.
I hope this ends it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Webb versus Batum, step forward.
21-year-old Philip Webb is suing his ex-fiancée, 19-year-old cashier Crystal Batum, for rent and the return of a wedding ring set. Crystal says Philip is stalking her.
Are you scared to death or just unhappy?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Cheer up. It's only money. Mr. Webb, Ms. Batum used to be your girlfriend. You lived together for a period of time at some point in your mother's house. Is this your mother?
Yes.
You broke up and you claimed that Ms. Batum came to the house and she took a ring set that you purchased.
Yes.
You want the ring set back. And in addition, you say that Ms. Batum also owes you for a month's rent.
Yeah, for her half of the rent.
Her half of the rent when you were living at your mother's house.
Yes.
Ms. Batum says she paid for the ring set and that there was never any arrangement to pay rent to your mother. Neither of you ever paid rent to your mother. Is that right?
Yeah.
When did you start to live with Ms. Batum in your mother's house?
In August, my mother...
August of what year?
2004. My mother had spoke with us in August and told us, now that, both of us are working with a steady income, she wanted us to pay $300 a month rent.
Mm-hmm.
And then September 23rd is when she left. And I had...
Oh, did she agree to pay your mother $300 a month rent?
Yes, we both did.
When in August did your mother have this conversation with you?
Around the middle of the month.
And when did she expect you to start to pay rent?
She expected us to start to pay rent the following month.
In September?
Yes.
And she moved out in September?
She moved out in the end of September.
Mr. Webb, you got to get over this.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Philip Webb says ex-fiancée Crystal Batum owes for rent and the return of a wedding ring set. Crystal says Philip is still in love with her.
So did you pay your mother $300 on September 1st? You have a check for that, I assume.
No, I paid her cash. I paid her around the middle of the month when I had gotten my paycheck.
And what about in October? Did you pay her in October?
No, I had moved out.
When in October?
I moved out around the 5th, 6th of October.
And you mean you didn't pay her for October? For the first 6 days in October? You understand what I'm saying to you,
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Webb? Well,
understand.
you're getting my gist. Stop being petty. Now let's forget about the rent. And let's go to the ring set.
The ring set, I have the receipt where I purchased it.
Good. Do you have the proof that you paid for it?
I paid in cash. So,
Really? Let me see.
And
me see.
the lady's business card that sold it to me.
I want to
I have
see what
that
you
also.
have. And then Ms. Batum says that she paid for the ring set. So we're going to see. Paid for the ring set. This says paid $500, tax included. Now, Ms. Batum, you left sometime in September.
Yeah.
We had an argument, or you just decided things
No,
weren't
I
good?
got tired of everything and I just up and left.
Tell me why you took the ring set.
Well, because we both went in halves on it. We went to the bank, we pulled out some of the money, and then he went back and gave them the rest. And it wasn't 500, it was 300.
Well, he has a receipt that he paid
Yeah,
for this.
well, I
and-
have the rings, so.
We have them. Do you have any proof whatsoever, Miss Batum, that you paid for these rings?
No, because it came out of the ATM.
Okay. Good. Very nice. He gets them back. Perfect. Anything else?
No, that's it.
I want him to leave me alone, too, because I have a restraining order against him. And on February 12th, he mailed me a letter.
Can I see the letter? Can I see a copy of a restraining order? You attended a hearing, Mr. Webb, with regard to this restraining order?
Yes.
Did you consent to the restraining order?
I consented, but I didn't agree with it because
I don't care
a
whether
lot
you
of it
agreed
was,
with it or not. You consented to it.
Yes,
You
I
were to
did.
stay away within 100 yards from her,
and I have
from her
done so.
home, and from her job, right?
Yes.
It was her birthday?
Yes.
That's why you sent these?
Yes.
You're not allowed to send them.
I didn't know that. I just was told I had to stay away from her work and stay away from her.
Listen to me, Mr. Webb. You were served with a copy of this protective order.
Yes.
In this protective order, it not only says that you have to stay 100 yards away from her, it reads, and I'm going to read it to you very carefully. You may not do the following. You may not contact her directly or indirectly, or telephone, send messages, or mail or email. Now, while this is not threatening,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's a love letter. You're not understanding that it's over and that she doesn't want you to have any contact with her. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
You don't want to get into any further difficulty. Is there any other thing that I have to resolve with regard to property or anything else?
Yeah, I have one more thing. I left my birth certificate there. I need my birth certificate back.
Okay. Now you can stand up. Your last name is Webb?
Correct.
You have her birth certificate?
I do.
Okay. I want you to give her birth certificate to your mother. Your mother is going to mail it to this court. This court will see to it that you get it.
Okay.
May I say something, please?
Yes.
I know you already went over the rent issue, but I have to bring it up again. It was August 2003. She was the only one with a job at that point.
I'm telling you, you spoke to her in the middle of August. She moved out in September. We're talking about petty stuff, Miss Webb.
I
Petty.
understand that, but
I'm telling you that you're talking about petty stuff. Your son moved out into the month of October. Did you sue him for the rent?
no, because he did
Just a
give
second.
me a full...
Just a second. Did you sue him for the rent?
No, I did not,
Of
ma'am.
course not, because you're not petty. Right? Your son has to get over the fact that she doesn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. And you should, as his mother, not exacerbate it. You should say, listen.
No, I just want what's
Good.
going, and she owes the rent.
Well, I think that you should speak to your son about it.
He
First-
already paid her half.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Okay, good. You have a check?
No.
You have
No,
a check?
he paid me in cash
You have
for
a check?
$300.
Good. I don't believe you. Sit down. There is no need for you to contact her anymore. Put a period. You have the rings. You're not to email her, mail her, phone her, follow her, be within 100 yards of her. Got it?
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. The fact that I've told this to you doesn't prevent her from going back to court and saying you violated the order. She can still do that. I don't know whether she wants to do that, but what she wants is she wants you to know unequivocally that you're not to have any contact with her. Clear?
Yes, I'm
Good.
perfectly
That's
clear.
all.
Right, excuse me. You may step out. Sir, be right here. Now, this is case number 441 on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Hampton. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Smith, Miss Hampton is your former wife, and at the time you met, the defendant was pregnant. The child was born during your marriage, but you are not the child's biological father.
No, ma'am. It wasn't born during the marriage.
No, ma'am.
When was he born?
February 21st, 2001.
And when did you marry?
In April 2001.
Could you keep your voice up, please? I'm old and my hearing is not as good as it used to be.
April 2001.
Okay. I only devour litigants on Thursday. When did you separate?
It was about July 2001.
So you were together for 3 months?
Yes.
When were you divorced?
Well, to the courts, we were divorced in 2002.
So you lived together as husband and wife for 3 months?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
the boy was born prior to that, but it was both of your understanding that this was not your biological child.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you were incarcerated off and on from 2001 to 2003.
Yes, ma'am.
During that time, Ms. Hampton obtained a divorce, named you as the child's father, and at some point you were ordered to pay child support. You were not present in court.
Yes,
it was
ma'am.
a default. I don't know whether you were in jail or out of jail. Were you in jail or out of jail when there was a default?
I was in jail.
Had you been served with the papers?
No, ma'am.
In any event, subsequently, when you got out of jail, you went to court and you had the child support order stopped. But in the interim, money was deducted from whatever salary you had.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want that money back?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Hampton said that you were aware of the fact that you were not the child's biological father. You agreed to assume responsibility for his care. Your name is on the child's birth certificate. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Is not?
No. He was in jail at the time Tyler was born, so he was not able to sign the birth certificate.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Hampton. Why did you, in the judgment of divorce, name Mr. Smith as the child's father?
I told my lawyer that he wasn't the father, but he had claimed responsibility. And my lawyer said that since we were living together before the child was born and afterward, and that he wanted my son to have his last name, that he was responsible for it.
Well, all of that is supposition on your lawyer's part, if in fact he told you that, because A, he had not signed the birth certificate, B, he had not claimed responsibility, and more importantly, according to the timeline that both of you gave me, you were married in April of 2001, and less than 3 months later, you separated. So this commitment that he made to your son was of short duration. Then he was in jail. Who was the child's father?
His father's name is Mike.
Is what?
Mike.
Mike. And did you notify Mike that he has a son?
He knows, but we have no contact with each other.
Well, who supports the boy?
I do.
And how long have you done that?
Since he was born.
Good. Then why did you pursue Mr. Smith for support?
I had quit working after I had my second child, and I went through family assistance, and they went after child support.
So you went on welfare?
Yes, ma'am.
After you had a second child with whom?
His name is James.
Shh. Now, where does James fit in this picture? Why didn't he support his child?
He does now, but we had broken up for a time due to a disagreement. We were both working and going to college, and he wasn't there when she was born.
So is what you're telling me that the state pursued the issue of support?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive any of this money, or did it all go to welfare?
Part of it went to welfare, and then I received the other part.
Well, do I have any indication of how much you received for the child support as opposed to the state?
I have none of that paperwork. The HR
Do you?
No, ma'am. Just what I paid in child support.
Listen, Mr. Smith, there's a problem, sir. My sense is that whatever you paid in child support, a part of that went to the state.
Yes, ma'am.
Not to her. I don't know how much that was. What were you in jail for, Mr. Smith?
Probation violation.
That's not a crime.
Yes, ma'am. It was breaking and entering a vehicle.
Burglary.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
One count of that. Yes, ma'am.
One count to cover how many charges, sir?
5.
You know, you think that these things just come to you?
No, ma'am.
There's experience there. You don't spend that much time in jail in this country with overcrowded prisons, unfortunately, for one count of breaking and entering into a car. But when you've been arrested a whole slew of times and you get a lawyer who says, look, we'll lump them all together, one count, how much time did you serve?
I was placed on probation under youthful offender.
And?
And then I had a 3-year sentence if I broke probation.
And did you?
Yes, ma'am.
How?
Failure to report to my probation officer.
Anything else?
That should be it. That's it.
You mean to tell me they put you back in jail for how long because you failed to report to your probation officer? Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Smith?
Well, it could have been...
And I don't want you to look over there. I want you to try to bring those eyes right back here.
I got attempting to elude because I had...
Attempting to elude?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that you were running away from the police?
Yes, ma'am.
When they came to bring you in so that you could chat with your probation officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you were attempting to elude the police, how did you do that, Mr. Smith?
I ran.
How long did it take them to catch you?
About 6 hours.
So you were running pretty fast. How long have you been out of prison, Mr. Smith?
A year and a half.
Any trouble since?
No, ma'am.
Did you learn your lesson?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I was just so distraught. She told DCFS that they were watching porno.
My children told me that they were watching naked people on TV.
falsely named him as the father of her child. He is suing her for the return of child support.
The problem, Mr. Smith, is that probably a good piece of this money went to the state where you live because they were supporting her and this little boy. How much did you pay for the divorce, sir?
I haven't paid anything.
And are you divorced now?
Yes.
Okay, and you paid about $3,000 in child support?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to consider that the cost of your divorce, sir. If you don't want to think of it as child support, think of it as the cost of your divorce, because it is impossible for me to determine how much money of the money that was deducted from your salary went to Miss Hampton and how much went to the state. And I certainly can't, although there's a basic unfairness about it, I certainly can't say to her, you have to return the money to him when she didn't get it. So, you made some mistakes in your life, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
This was just another mistake. Costly, unfortunate, but there is nothing that I can do to help you.
I also had my lawyer fees where I had to take her back to court to get everything dropped.
That's a different story. Let me see that, please. Did you bring the baby to jail to visit him?
Yes, ma'am. He had called me a little bit before Father's Day, and I was nice enough to take Tyler up there to see him.
Why did you do that, sir?
Because then I had found out that she had filed for divorce stuff.
Why did you ask to see the baby?
I didn't. She brought him up there.
He asked how how me and him were doing and everything like that, so I didn't.
But he didn't ask you to have regular visits with him while he was in jail with the baby?
Until right after we went to court and I did my statement to the judge, I had no idea where he was. I had not seen him.
So the answer is no. So how much in total did you pay the lawyer, sir?
$500.
Okay. Do you have the final copy of the judgment of divorce? With
Yes,
the
ma'am.
modification on it, deleting the child's name? Let's see, please. Well, this talks about the child.
It also says she don't know where I was during the whole proceedings, but she did because I got the letter from jail.
But with that, I went to court on February 27th, before Father's
Of 2002?
Mm-hmm.
This judgment was filed March of 2002.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you find out where he was?
It was right before Father's Day. I don't remember what the date
How did you
was.
find out where he was?
He called me.
Was that the first time he had called you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the postmark on this letter is May of 2002.
Yes, ma'am.
What evidence do you have that she knew where you were?
It's highlighted.
Oh, it says here, I already knew you were here in jail and how you got caught. I had seen Chris in Walmart right after you were caught.
Yes, ma'am. That was right before he called. Actually, I think it was the day he called me from jail.
How much after you got caught, sir, did you call her?
It was probably about 3 months.
I believe you knew where he was. You all live in the same general vicinity?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you knew where he was. Minimally, Miss Hampton, you're going to pay his legal fees because I think that you should have at least advised the judge that he was in jail and that he couldn't respond. And since he had to retain an attorney to at least get rid of the paragraph here that talks about the boy and that talks about visitation shall be at the discretion of the plaintiff, should have been a little more forthcoming with your lawyer. And you weren't. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just wanted to get on with my life and start my new family and everything.
I just can't believe that he even got with her, because she's crazy.
Don't marry too many times.
Be very careful who you marry.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jones versus Chun. Step forward, please.
Daycare provider Lori Jones is suing her former client, customer service rep Nina Chum, for unpaid babysitting fees and for making false allegations to Child Protective Services.
Mrs. Jones, you run a daycare agency?
Yes, I do.
And you were contacted by the defendant who asked you if you would take care of her children.
Yes.
You did for a short period of time. During the last week, according to you, she gave you a check and then stopped payment on that check. She later removed her children from your care. You want that check, which was $90.
Yes.
And also, it is your claim that she maliciously contacted the State Department of Social Services, who licenses you, and reported that children in your care were being given substandard care. And you want to be compensated for that because it put you out of business for a while. The defendant says that you did, in fact, give her children substandard care, and she is counterclaiming for all the money she paid you for her children's care and for punitive damages.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Chum, how did you find Mrs. Jones?
Well, I was looking for daycare for my children.
How old are your children?
They were 5 years old at the time.
Twins?
Yes. And I had seen Lori at some of the daycare meetings that I'd been to when I was providing child care. So I knew of her.
Fine. And you needed somebody immediately. You brought the children over when?
This was in July, on July 12th.
And what financial arrangements did you make?
They were going to be there for part-time, so she was charging me for part-time for the 2 children at $90 a week.
And how many weeks were the children there?
They were there for about 4.5 weeks or so.
And how many weeks did you pay for?
For all of the time that we were there.
Well, the last check, what happened?
I gave her the check on the Monday. Tuesday afternoon, I came and picked the children up as usual, and she wasn't there. Her husband was there, and I went and I said, you know, where's Lori? And I was told that she had taken one of her children to a doctor. And I said, okay, but the children, as soon as my children sat down in the car, they told me that, Mommy, you know, they were watching naked people on TV.
Daycare provider Lori Jones says former client Nina Chum owes for child care fees and for making false allegations to Child Protective Services. Lori says Nina told authorities her husband was watching pornography while babysitting.
Did you ask the children to describe what they saw?
They just told me that there were naked people on TV, and to be honest with you, I was just so distraught I didn't know what to think or what to do. I just drove home.
Did you question them any further?
I did ask if it was people on the beach, you know, what was it, you know, was it, because sometimes children may say that even people in underwear are naked, so I wanted to be sure, and they said no, they weren't wearing anything. And so that really bothered me, and I just contacted DCFS on the issue so that they could investigate further.
Okay, let's get to the 10th of August. Where were you?
I watched her kids up until about 3:15. And then I took my daughter to the doctor, and my husband watched her kids for me the last half hour.
Why didn't he take your children to the doctor?
I just wanted to, so I just left them with him.
Well, that was a mistake.
Yes, it was.
Is he a daycare provider?
No, he's not.
Then you made a mistake. You made a serious mistake. So the part of your lawsuit, quite frankly, that deals with punitive damages for reporting you to the state, I'm dismissing. If you have children in your charge and you've been licensed by the state, it is your obligation, absent an emergency, to take care of them. And you have absolutely no right to let your husband fill in. And this was a Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Is that right?
Right.
What was he doing home?
He had the day off. I don't remember exactly why he was off that day.
She told me he'd been laid off. So he'd been at home. Most of the time when you go, he's around the house mowing or doing other things.
Was he working at that time?
I don't remember. He's been laid off on and off since August. He'd work a couple weeks and they'd lay him off for a week, and then he'd work a month and they'd lay him off for 2 weeks. It's been that way since August.
Step up, sir. What were you watching on television, Mr. Jones?
Captain Ron. It's a comedy. I brought a copy.
Is there any nudity in that movie?
It just shows it. No, there ain't no nudity. It shows them in bikinis and bathing suits.
PG.
PG-13.
It's still not appropriate for children.
Yeah, it is.
Just
it's
a second.
comedy.
No, PG-13 is not appropriate for children. That means parental guidance, not to watch till you're 13. That's what PG-13 means, Mr. Jones. 5-year-olds watch G-rated movies, not PG-13, right?
Right.
I mean, it's a comedy to you. You think that these 5-year-olds understand the comedy?
Mine does.
Well, then they've been watching too many PG-13 movies. Well, I would be, Miss Jones, quite frankly, I would be pretty annoyed, too.
She told DCFS that they were watching X-rated porno.
I did not tell them
That's
that.
what he told me.
What I said was the children told me they were watching naked people. Children
That's
don't
porno.
know the difference.
Just a second. No.
Know the difference
No.
between all
That's not pornography. That's watching naked people. What you did was, and I don't even know if that's what he was watching. So you made two mistakes. A, you made arrangements to take your daughter to the doctor at 3:15 in the afternoon while you still had work to do. It was not an emergency. B, if it was an emergency, then you let him take your daughter to the doctor and you stay home. And if the reason that you didn't let him take your daughter to the hospital was because you didn't trust his judgment.
No, that's not it at all.
Well, then there can be no other reason when you say, I wanted to, rather than let him take her when you had a job to do. The reason is either you didn't take your job seriously, or you didn't trust his judgment in relaying to the doctor whatever ailment your daughter had. And if you didn't trust his judgment with regard to doing that, you don't trust his judgment with leaving him alone with strange children when he's an unlicensed, unregulated, untrained provider. And he's been doing nothing but sitting around watching TV all day. So he's probably had it up to here with kids. Counterclaim seeks the return of all your money. So I'm going to give you an analogy of why you're not going to get all the money back. Okay. Let's say you've been going to a local restaurant for 2 years. One day you go there and you find a roach in your salad. And you say, I'm not paying for this meal. There was a roach in my salad, right? I would say you're absolutely right. You shouldn't have to pay for that meal. You say, not only don't I want to pay for that meal, I've been going there 2 years. I want all the money back that I spent in this restaurant over the last 2 years. Would you get it back?
No, I
So
understand.
I think that you were absolutely right to contact the state. I think that her actions in leaving the children with an unlicensed provider is inappropriate. I'm not exactly sure what he was watching on television.
That's what
the
concerns
best
me.
scenario is he was watching a PG movie, and he shouldn't have been with 5-year-olds. So your claim is dismissed. Understood?
I do understand that. However, I was really, truly shocked, and it was offensive, I feel, to the children in her care, her own children, and to my children.
Then why don't you tell the judge why you got your daycare license stripped from you?
I didn't get my
listen
daycare license
to me.
stripped.
Listen to me. It's not about her.
Okay, that's offensive.
Shh. It's not about her. It's about you. You did the wrong thing. And he did the wrong thing. She made a complaint, and she was justified in making her complaint. And if she was justified in making a complaint, it boggles my mind why you're suing her. That's all. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 492 on the calendar, the matter of Underwood versus Burge. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You're the wife?
Yes, ma'am.
You're the girlfriend?
The ex-girlfriend.
You're the bargain? Don't see it. So something special that's just between you and you. Miss Underwood, according to your complaint, Mr. Burge and you were involved in a relationship. You didn't know that he was still married at the time.
Correct.
And you loaned him money. Loaned
Correct.
him money to do something called lifting his truck. I don't know what that means. You'll explain it to me in 10 seconds or less. Then you bailed out his car when it got impounded. What else?
2 tickets.
2 tickets. And you said you made loans to him because you actually thought that you were going to be building a life together based upon his promises and his statement that you were going to go to live in Arizona together and whatever. When you tried to find out when he was going to pay you, you went to his house and lo and behold, his wife answered the door.
Correct.
Mr. Burge says everything that you gave him that he acknowledges he took were given as gifts.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he never fooled you. You knew that he was married and that he had children because he has tattoos of them all over him.
Tattoos does not mean that he's
That they're
still
together.
married, or the fact that...
And he says he doesn't owe you a quarter. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long are you married, Mr. Burge?
Over 6 years.
You have children?
Yes, 4.
When did you leave your wife?
Around April, May.
And when did you meet Miss Underwood?
Right at the end of May.
Where?
Through an ad in the paper.
What kind of an ad?
It was like a penny saver ad.
What did it say? Shh, quiet!
It said, this is who I am. And so I responded to it. She sounded interesting.
Why, after 6 years of marriage and 4 children, you separated, in a couple of weeks you felt the necessity to find somebody else?
It's just I like having someone around. I wasn't out to build a relationship. I was out to find a friend, and, you know, things were going good with us.
And when, for the first time, did she give you money?
It would be September 9th, if I'm not
that right?
mistaken.
Yeah.
September 9th.
But I didn't give him anything.
Shh. Tell me what she gave you money for.
She did a lift on my truck.
Well, I don't know what that means. A lift for your truck means it's raised off the ground?
It raises it off the ground with bigger tires.
Why did you need that?
It was just something I wanted.
You have 4 children, so don't you think you should want to send them more money than raise your truck off the ground?
My children are well taken care of.
How much money did you earn?
Say again?
How much money did you earn?
I was making $15 an hour.
Oh, my God. A fortune. So what you're telling me is on $15 an hour, you can support your 4 children and you.
My wife works also.
How old are your children?
Twin 9-year-olds, a 5-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old boy.
And who watches them when you're both working?
Daycare.
Who pays for the daycare?
We do.
Really? Your wife must be a very successful CEO of a major company.
No, she just works very hard for what she gets.
Harder than you.
We work equally.
Really? What kind of work do you do, Miss Burge?
I work for the phone company.
What's your annual salary?
54.
So you're the primary breadwinner in your family?
I make more an hour, yes.
Stand up. How many months were you separated from your husband?
Roughly about 6.
How much money did he send you for support during those 6 months?
We still live together, but we just stayed.
Is what you're telling me, Miss Burge, that you still lived under the same roof while you were separated?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that, Miss Underwood?
No, I did not.
You think your husband told that to her?
I don't know.
Trust me. Did he tell you about Miss Underwood?
No, we didn't share any personal stuff about each other.
No, only 4 children. Did you ask him where he got the money to have his truck lifted?
No, ma'am.
Let's see. Where did Mr. Burge tell you that he was living?
He said exactly where he was living.
Had you ever been there to visit him?
No, because he was always at my house.
How often was he at your house?
A couple times during the week, not for very long, but he came over a couple times during the week on Sundays, because Sunday was his only day off.
But you never went to his house until you were looking for him for the money?
Until New Year's Eve, correct.
Well, you weren't looking for him for money New Year's Eve. You were just looking to find him?
I actually was just looking to find him because he told me that we would be together, and then his friends called and said that he was drunk and passed out, so they were taking him to their house. So I decided that enough was enough, and I wanted to go find out what was going on, and lo and behold, the wife and 4 kids answered the door.
Mr. Burge, did you tell Miss Underwood that you were still living at home with your wife?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Why not?
I didn't see it as relevant at the time. We were just friends.
Well, you were friends, you were intimate.
Yeah.
You had taken money from her.
Yeah.
You knew that she had feelings for you.
Yes.
Did you feel as if you were being honest with her?
Not completely, no.
Right. I think you got the better end of the deal.
I think so, too.
Unfortunately, she didn't find out about his character until they had 4 children together.
That's her problem.
That's her problem. And not only that,
she can have him. I don't want him.
She can have him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It was okay for her to do this for him until she found out that we were still living together and he left her.
Because you got the prize. I want to tell you, my darling, you got the booby prize.
And later today,
were you planning to get married?
Yes, we were going to be married September 17th, a week after he unfortunately passed away.
People invited to the wedding?
Yes.
Including his daughter?
No.
Owes for having his truck lifted and for impound fees. Tammy says Sean is living a double life.
Tell me about having the truck lifted.
He said that the weight of all the tools and stuff he used for work weighed the truck down too much, so if we did that, then it wouldn't be as much of a strain on the truck. And at that point, I'm agreeing that, you know, we're going to try and start a life. We had already talked about starting a life. And I told him, okay, I said, this is the deal. I have a credit card that just got paid off. We could do this, but you have to make the payments on it.
And he said?
He said, okay. He said that would not be a problem. He would be able to make the payments. So we...
Now let me hear your version of the truck, sir.
Your Honor, months or weeks before that, we were talking. My birthday was coming up in October, and she asked me, you know, what do you want for your birthday? Jokingly, I said I'd like to get my truck lifted. I never made arrangements to pay anything back, because if I could afford to pay her back on it, I would have paid for it myself.
What was the next thing you paid off for him?
His truck got towed.
When did your truck get towed?
I don't remember the exact date.
And what did you do when you found out it was towed?
I called to her and asked her if she could get it out.
Why don't you call your wife?
I didn't choose to.
You can either have a happy life or an unhappy life. The choice is yours. Do you understand?
I understand.
Just because you make an initial mistake doesn't mean that you have to go through your whole life suffering for it. How much did it cost to have the truck lifted?
$32.50.
How much did it cost to get the car out of impound?
$318.
And now we have the tickets. What about the tickets? Did he ask you to pay those tickets?
Yes, he called me at work and said, can we afford for you to pay the tickets? And I said, there's no we. I can do it if you can make the payments. I said, you have to agree to make the payments.
How much were the tickets?
One was $606 and one was $446.
What do you want to say?
I wanted to mention that I just want to reflect back on something that she had said when she said that he used to come over quite frequently. He works Monday through Saturday, and he was only gone on a Sunday a few times that I can recall.
Well, what do you think that this phantom relationship that he had with Miss Underwood was?
I really don't know. I wasn't involved in it, but
right.
I
You
knew...
do know, however, that he solicited her friendship while the two of you were married and living under the same roof. That he asked her for help, according to him, right?
Right.
All something that someone would say to a new friend. We're building something together. I need some help right now. Separated from my wife, whatever. We're divorced. I don't know. Did he say he's separated or divorced?
No, he said he was divorced for about a year and a half.
Got it? Got it?
I understand that.
Do you believe her that that's what he said? I want you to believe her, Miss Burge.
Okay.
That's what he said.
May I mention another thing?
Sure.
The night that she showed up on our doorstep, she did mention to me that she had told him that he needs to put an effort toward the relationship or she was going to sue him for the money.
And your point would be?
You know, it was okay for her to do this for him until she found out that we were still living together and that he and I ended up going, you know, started working on a relationship and he left her.
Because you got the prize. Is that right? Because you got the prize? And she didn't. And she didn't. I want to tell you, my darling, you got the booby prize.
Burge owes for having his truck lifted and for impound fees. Tammy says Sean is living a double life.
He's an unethical, amoral man who used her when it suited him. And he didn't even have the decency to say to her, I'm going back to my wife. I know you spent almost $5,000 on me. I'm going to pay you back, little by little, whatever it takes, because I don't want you to feel as if you've been abused by me. Do you understand? That would have been a decent human being. Instead, he says, see ya. You feel like a fool? You were a fool? I'm going back to my wife with my new lifted truck. And if that's the kind of character you want your children to grow up around, stick with them. You will reap what you sow. The next fool will be you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,620. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Party Judge Hughes, you may step out.
We started building a life together. He said he loved me, and I never knew about the wife until New Year's Eve.
I didn't lie to her about anything. I might not have told her things, but I didn't lie to her.
We had all kinds of plans. It wasn't just like a month, okay, boom, done, you know.
It just didn't work between me and her.
Christmas, you know, he promised my son he would be there, and all of a sudden didn't show.
Mistress is a mistress, you know. You end up coming out with everything or you come out with nothing.
It really hurt, because I was in love with him, so, but she can have him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fitzgerald versus Whitney. Step forward, please.
23-year-old homemaker Kimberly Fitzgerald is suing her deceased father's fiancée, Leslie Whitney, for the return of her father's belongings. Kimberly says Leslie is a scammer.
Miss Fitzgerald, Miss Whitney and your father were together at the time that he died, and he died suddenly. He was a young man. He had a heart attack. And you want some property that you say belonged to your father. You're one of two children. You say your brother doesn't want anything of your father's. You do. He died without a will. And according to you, Miss Whitney won't let you have his belongings. Right?
Yep.
When did your father have a heart attack? Do you know the date?
September 9th, 2004.
And prior to September 9th, when had you seen him?
I saw him about 3 days earlier.
Where?
He stopped by my house to see my son. Well, and me.
Prior to September the 6th, when your father came to see your son, when had you previously seen him?
The 4th of July.
How old was your father?
57.
Miss Whitney, how long had you and Vincent been together?
Over a year we were together, but we did not live together until June of last year.
He had another girlfriend in March.
Shh. You moved into his house?
Yes.
Where was he when he passed away?
He was on the road. He was a truck driver.
According to what I read, Vincent took out a life insurance policy with you as the beneficiary. Is
Yes.
that right? When did he do that?
In August.
Were you planning to get married?
Yes, we were going to be married September 17th, a week after he unfortunately passed away.
People invited to the wedding?
Yes.
Including his daughter?
No.
Why not?
He said that he didn't want, there wasn't a close-knit family, and that's what he had told me. I had never met her, and he offered to, when he wanted to go see his grandchild and stuff, but it was like an in-and-out thing. He never really talked about his children.
How much was the life insurance policy that he took out in August?
$20,000.
But he named you as the beneficiary?
Yes.
Was there any other life insurance policy for any of his children?
No, there was not.
Did he have any bank accounts?
Yes, he did, but one was overdrawn, and the other one only had about $50 in it.
Now, I gather the day after your father died, you and your mother
Yes.
went to his apartment.
Yes. I didn't even know about her.
And how did you get into his apartment?
I was sitting outside. I didn't go into the apartment until Leslie came home.
How did your mother get into the apartment?
I don't know.
How did they get into the apartment?
They climbed through the kitchen window. It was a basement apartment. The windows were level with the ground. And I was on my way back from the hospital, and I came home, and she was outside with the baby, and the mother was in the bedroom.
What was your mother doing there?
She told me to wait outside. We had gone to my father's house to get his suit so that he could be buried. We were making preparations for his wake, and there was other paperwork and stuff that I needed. Since I am the administrator of my father's estate, I needed to get paperwork to straighten
Well, you
everything
weren't
out.
the administrator of his estate at that time because he died without a will.
No, at that
so
time I
you
was
had
not.
to petition the court for letters of administration.
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Now, according to Miss Whitney, she ultimately allowed you to come in and take certain property from the apartment.
Yes.
Okay. Now you're going to tell me what it is that you want.
We just want...
Who's we?
Well, okay, I just want the value of the property that was missing that Leslie told me I could have.
What do you want? Not the value. What do you want?
The kitchen table, the computer, the camera with the printer.
Kitchen table?
No, there's no kitchen table.
No kitchen. There's no kitchen table.
I moved
What else?
into the house myself.
What year?
Beginning of end of 2003.
Get over it. What else?
The computer. There was a brand new computer.
Where's the computer?
There was no computer. There was no computer. There's no kitchen table.
Okay. You have no idea where the computer is?
No, I don't.
What's next?
The digital camera.
Digital camera.
No, I don't. He had that. He used to carry that with him in his truck, and I didn't
What's
go
next?
to the truck.
The printer that went with the digital camera.
Miss Fitzgerald, get over it. From what I gather, based upon the fact that your father had taken out a life insurance policy, and instead of naming his two children as beneficiaries, he named this lady as a beneficiary of his insurance policy, you did not enjoy with your father the kind of relationship that was warm.
22-year-old Amy Freshley is suing former friend Herman Velasquez for rental car charges and for damages to the vehicle. Herman claims he owes Amy nothing.
Miss Freshley, you had an automobile accident.
Yes.
You knew the defendant, who was a mechanic, and you entered into an agreement with him that he would fix your car.
Right.
And according to you, your agreement was that the car would be ready in a week or 5 days. If it went over that, he was going to compensate you for the rental car.
Exactly.
Now, the car wasn't ready on time. He was supposed to pay for the additional days.
Right.
In addition to that, is your claim that he took the rental car,
Exactly.
which for some reason you left at his shop, drove it, and caused damage to it, and you were being charged by Enterprise Rental Car for the damage that you ascribed to him.
Exactly.
Okay. The car you were in an accident with was a 95 Tahoe?
Yes.
Is that your car?
Yes.
Alone?
Me and my boyfriend's car.
Who purchased it?
We both did.
You have insurance?
Yes.
Did the insurance pay for the accident?
Yes.
How much?
$4,045.
Who did they pay that to?
Paid it to me and my boyfriend.
Did you take the money?
I took the money and paid Herman $2,800.
They paid you $4,000 for something that he fixed for $2,800?
Yep.
And it never dawned on you to take the rest of the money and give it back to them?
They didn't ask for it back. They said they wouldn't pay for the rental, so I figured I'd use also some of that for a rental because I wouldn't have a car for a week.
Okay. So let us say he took the car, which you acknowledge. He took the car.
Yeah.
Don't acknowledge that you had an accident with it or that you damaged it.
No.
But you acknowledge you took it.
Yeah.
So let's say $2,800 is what he charged you for the car.
Yes.
Plus you say that he should be responsible $340 for the additional days that the car was rented
Yes.
when he didn't have it fixed on time.
Yes.
Right? Plus $340. Plus $701 for damage to the car.
Yes.
That's $3,841. Did you have any other expenses by virtue of this accident that you had?
No.
Well, my calculations are that you're still ahead $200 from what you scammed out of the insurance company. You expect me to give you more money? What are you looking at me? Am I speaking some sort of a foreign
No,
language
I just
that you don't understand?
expected to be paid for a car that I rented, and he said he'd pay for the extra week.
You didn't pay for the extra week. Your insurance company did. Think of it this way. On what date did you have the accident? March 29th?
Yes.
March 29th. On March 29th, you started off with a car that was in good running order.
Yes.
Right? And zero in the bank. On April 15th, you had $4,045 in the bank from the insurance company.
Yes.
2 weeks later, you had your car back. You had rented a car, and you still have an extra $200 in your bank. Now, what you want me to do is give you the extra $200, plus you want him to pay you $1,100.
Yes, I would.
That means that at the end of this accident, you have your car
It doesn't
and an
matter what
extra $1,300. Insurance isn't supposed to make you rich, madam. It is supposed to compensate you for your damage.
But that wasn't the deal when I had rented.
The deal that you entered into with your insurance company is to be an honest insured. I'm speaking. The deal that you entered into with your insurance company is that if you had an accident, they were going to compensate you for the reasonable cost of having your car fixed. And the reasonable cost of you having your car fixed was $2,800.
That's because he told me that's how much it was going to cost.
So why didn't you tell that to the insurance company?
I did. He actually wrote up something higher than what he was going to charge me.
And did you tell the insurance company that he did
No.
that? Let me tell you all about the doctrine of clean hands. The doctrine of clean hands is something that we learned very early on in law school. It says that when a citizen comes into court and asks the court to hear their case, they can't come in with dirty hands, which means they can't come in being wrong, scamming somebody and saying, well, he's a worse scammer than I am. Why won't you help me? What he did was worse. I had a deal with him. We had a deal that he was going to jack up the cost of fixing the car. He was going to have the adjuster come to his place and say it needs this and this and this and this and this. And he was going to get $2,800 to fix it, and I was going to end up pocketing the rest, which was $1,000 or whatever. And the only one that was going to be out is the insurance company, and they got plenty of money anyway.
Well,
so, madam, you get from me nothing. Zippo. Nada. Except a lesson in morality. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Crystal Padilla claims the father of her child, James Kern, falsely accused her of abuse to Child Protective Services. She is suing for her attorney fees.
Ms. Padilla, this is your ex-husband. You've been divorced since when?
Our divorce was finalized in November of 2004.
And you have one child together?
Yes.
How old is that child?
He's now 5.
I'd like you to keep your voice up, Ms. Padilla, because I have difficulty hearing you. Not because there's anything terribly wrong with my hearing, but I know that you may be a little nervous. You're speaking softly. You have to speak up like me.
No problem.
Great. Make believe you're yelling at him.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Your lawsuit alleges that Mr. Kern filed false allegations against you with Child Protective Services, forcing you to hire an attorney. You want your attorney's fees back and the expenses that you incurred as a result of defending that litigation. Mr. Kern says he had legitimate concerns over his child, and that's why he made the report. Okay? Do you have other children?
One.
How old?
Same age. A little older by a few months.
Who does that child live with?
Her. I didn't know of his existence till long after he was born. It's quite a story.
Well, it's quite a story, but it has an age-old beginning.
They're 6 weeks apart.
Another 10.
And I assume you've done the appropriate DNA testing and everything else? Paternity testing?
Correct.
So that while you were married, you fathered another child. Is that right?
No, it was before I was married. Before her and I got married, her and I were together. She told me she had an abortion, so we never talked again. Me and her got back together. And then after, actually the day my son Cameron was born, I get another phone call from her saying, oh, guess what?
Do you see that child?
No.
So that there are no other siblings in your house?
No.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
How old are they?
They're 7 and 5.
The 7-year-old is not Mr. Kern's child?
No.
When did you and Mr. Kern separate?
In November of 2002.
So the baby was an infant. Is there any issue as far as custody at that time?
At that time, Mr. Kern left, and Cameron did stay with me. And when we did our divorce papers, we decided to do 50-50 custody. And up until this recent event, we did share 50-50 custody.
When you say 50-50 custody, how did that break down in the week?
We would alternate weeks. 1 week I would have 3 days, he would have 4. The next week I would have 4 days, he would have 3.
So that really required that you live in close proximity to each other.
At the time, I was in Riverside, California, and he was up in Apple Valley, so about an hour away.
So, Mr. Kern, you had your son half the time.
Correct.
But you, I assume, always knew that there would come a time when he went to school and you couldn't have that kind of an arrangement because you can't live an hour away from each other and still do that.
Correct. I offered to put him in private school, and she didn't want that. She lives in Colton.
Just a second. You offered to put him in private school near you.
Correct.
Well, she didn't want him to be in a private school
She
near
wanted
you. Shh, Mr. Kern, because that would mean that she would lose her 50% of the custody time.
Negative.
Sure it would, because if he's in private school near you, of necessity, he has to spend 5 days a week at your house. In any event, she said, no, I want to put him in school where I am, right?
Correct.
She wanted the child to go to school in her location. You wanted the child to go to school in your location. And then the trouble began. So, Mr. Kern, why don't you tell me the timeline from there? She brought papers to you to ask you to sign off so that you could register the child in school.
Yeah, and that if I didn't agree, she wouldn't let me have my son. She was going to leave in the parking lot right then and there. Actually, it started long before that. My son had lots of marks and bruises on him that were questionable. And every time I'd ask her, you know, how did this happen? It was always the same story. Oh, he got it playing with his brother, or he got it fighting with his brother. One February day, she called me, said, hey, you know, he had a bit of an accident. I don't know if I'm going to take him to the hospital or not. I'm just letting you know. I said, okay, do I need to come down there? You know, I'll take it myself. She said, no. He showed up that weekend, and I have pictures right here. He has a complete black eye. He has a gash in his eye.
I'd like to see it.
And these are some other pictures of bruises and marks on him from when he's come from her house. Hand marks, bruise on his shoulder, other marks on his face from different times. And I took those pictures to my attorney, asked them what they think I should do, and that's when I took that to the court.
I wouldn't say a word if I were you. You are no relation to this case.
That's my wife.
I understand exactly who it is, sir. I understand exactly who it is, and if you want the situation with your son to ultimately resolve itself, I would suggest that she let you do the talking. That's the problem. Well, see, black and blue marks on his arms.
I also have a video that I think you need to see that's important in this case.
Oh, this is his leg.
This is just one of 100 times of how he acts when he goes back to his mother. And I think it's very important that you see this video right here.
Sure.
And after my attorney told me, you know, after I took that to court for next court.
Don't tell me what your attorney told you, sir. What your attorney told you was hearsay.
All right, here we go, guys.
Cameron, come on, baby. Hey, the sooner you go with your mommy, the sooner I get to come get you and we get to Christmas. Come on, honey. Cameron. Come on, it's time to go with your mommy, honey. No. Don't do that. Come on. Mommy misses you and she wants to see you. Okay, baby? Come on.
I've seen enough. Turn it off, please.
That's not even the good part. The part where he throws himself on the ground, and I asked, you know, let me talk to him to calm him down. She won't let me. He's banging on the window in her car, you know, screaming for me, and takes off.
I don't understand why you're photographing this.
Well, actually, that was upon her request in the court. She wanted to videotape pickups or drop-offs, so if somebody said something they shouldn't, they could take it to court.
That was at her request? Is that right?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I have it on the minutes.
I'd like to see it. It's a major concern to me to videotape a child like that. Goes clearly as young as he is, playing for the camera. Well, this just says the parties stipulate that the visitation exchanges may be videotaped and audiotaped.
Yeah, she did that because she accused me of bad-mouthing her when I pick up or drop off my son. So the judge said that we can videotape or audiotape the pickup or drop-offs. And they...
Just a second. And she didn't ask for it. She accused you,
and we
Mr.
went to
Kern.
court. Her
Mr.
attorney
Kern,
said, Ms.
listen to me. I'm really big on two parents getting involved and being integral parts of their children's lives, fathers and mothers. I think it's really important. And I don't know which one of you is a better custodial parent. I really don't know. Sounds to me as if you adore him.
It's my life.
And it sounds to me, based upon the answer that you submitted to me, that you legitimately feel that you are a more fit custodial parent. Maybe. But I'm telling you what I'm seeing. The injuries that you've shown me here are nothing compared to what my kids had when they were growing up.
But if your kid came
broken
on
arms,
his face or something,
broken
would you not be
arms,
concerned?
jumping off the beds with their siblings, banging heads, getting hit in the face with a lacrosse stick. All kinds of things happen to children, especially children who have a close in age sibling.
But then where's the supervision?
Excuse me?
If something like that happens to his face because he was fighting with his brother, where was the supervision?
Can't supervise children all the time, Mr. Kern. What planet are you living on, sir?
This one. These things don't happen at my house. I have 2 full-grown German Shepherds. He has his own bike. He has everything in the world a kid could ever want.
Mr. Kern,
and these things don't happen in my home.
Mr. Kern, what you don't have in your house is another child. The only issue in this case, as far as I'm concerned, is do these pictures of marks on the child give him sufficient reason for him to have placed a call to Child Protective Services to investigate?
I never called Child Protective Services. I just filed an ex parte hearing saying, for my concerns about those marks. I never called CPS not once.
Just a second. So you filed a proceeding, an ex parte proceeding, for what?
To get custody of my son so we could find out what was going on. I have letters here from a psychotherapist.
Just a second. So you had 50-50 custody, and based upon these photographs, you went to court through your attorney and filed an ex parte order seeking physical custody full-time of your child based upon these photographs.
And letters from a psychotherapist that interviewed my son to find out where the marks were coming from, which I have these right here as well.
So while the child was with you, in addition to taking these photographs, you took him to a psychologist.
Yeah, upon my attorney's advice.
Listen, Mr. Kern, I was there for 25 years. I know exactly what's going on, sir. I know precisely what's going on. Now, when did you file your ex parte proceeding, sir?
End of April '06.
And when did Miss Padilla tell you that she wasn't going to allow you to enroll the child in private school in your area?
She served me on my first wedding anniversary, which was March 12th, '06, and that's where the court
Just a
papers
second.
began.
So in March of '06, Miss Padilla served you with papers seeking what?
That she wanted him to go to school in her area, which is Colton.
So she served you with papers in March of '06. And in April of '06, you saw an attorney, brought photographs, and at that point filed your own ex parte order for custody based upon allegations of abuse. Is that right?
According, yes.
I'm getting the timeline here.
Upon my attorney's advice.
That wasn't his first response to my petition. His original response noted nothing of physical abuse.
Okay. Then he took these pictures that he had been saving up and storing up since December of 2005.
That's not true. On my
attorney.
first response, noted a lot of things. The fact that she lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with her sister and her 2 children, with her other son and my son. My son coming to my house telling me he sleeps on the couch with his brother while she sleeps in her room with her boyfriend.
Mr. Kern, how much support do you pay for that child support?
Which one?
That lady's child.
$250.
$250 or what?
A month.
Pay it every month?
Nope.
So you don't pay child support?
Not every month. Sometimes I get behind on bills and stuff. I can't make the payment.
He hasn't paid in over 3 years.
Yes, I have.
I'm getting there. And how much child support do you pay now for this child?
I believe it was $400 a month if she took him to school. I let my employer have the information, and I don't think they've started that yet.
So how much do you pay her?
$400 a month or something like that. I don't quite
$400.
recall.
Well, the employer hasn't started deducting it from your salary yet. So how much do you give her every month?
Nothing.
Why?
Because if I give it to her, she'll never report it.
But in between the time that the child support order takes place, sir, and they start with the income deduction order, Months could go by before that happens. So how do you expect your child to be supported? Okay, so now you have 2 children, and if I am correct, from what you tell me, Mr. Kern, who you want me to believe you're Father of the Year, you have 2 children for whom you are currently paying 0 child support. And this from a man who said, I want to put my son in private school near me.
I had 50% custody at the time.
No,
Actually, I
no,
had
listen to
more.
me. Listen to me. This is from a man who said, I want to pay for private school. And now you tell me that you have 2 children, 5 years old, for whom you are currently paying nothing in child support.
That's not every month. Just because she hasn't received hers yet, that's the child support agency, not my fault. I'm not going to give it to her and have her deny it.
You got where we're going? He thinks he's a step ahead of me. I was there for 25 years, Mr. Kern. I know exactly what's going on. Exactly. Well, let's finish the scenario. You went to court. You had a lawyer. Did you have a lawyer?
On the Monday, I went to...
Just answer my question. Did you have a lawyer?
On our next court date, we did.
And the child's custody was immediately transferred to the father. Is that right?
Pending.
Just answer my question.
Yes.
For how long did Mr. Kern have custody?
Until May 17th of 2006.
And then what happened?
That was our original court date, and we went to mediation.
When you went back to mediation, was a forensic expert assigned to the case?
No.
We were assigned to do a 7:30 evaluation.
And what was the name of the therapist who was doing the evaluation?
Dr. Michael.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. So as a result, I assume, at least in part of the forensic evaluation, the court determined that the custody arrangement that you originally agreed to was not workable.
Correct.
Is that right? And ultimately, primary physical custody was ordered to you.
Yes, it was.
And the court granted you visitation 3 weekends a month. Is that right?
Big drop from having them half the time, huh?
Absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. You're supposed to try to work things out. You're supposed to be smart enough to know that whatever custody arrangement you make when a child is 2 is not going to be able to hold true when the child is 6 or 8 or 10 or 12. And you're supposed to be able to work with each other. And just because you got angry that she wasn't going to allow you to have your way...
How's that right? These pictures started being taken in December, beginning of December, when she filed in March. Some, magically appeared some pictures in December. These are concerns I've had for a while.
Either that, sir, or you don't understand what it's like to be a 5-year-old with a 7-year-old sibling, with a black and blue mark on the knee, with a scratch above the eye, with a black and blue mark on the hand, with scrapes across the face. It happens. It happens. And nothing that I read in this report suggested, absolutely nothing, that your child complained that any of those marks were as a result of his mother's actions.
I have some other letters here that you should read then.
Absolutely.
There is also a section about her in the 7:30 evaluation, the psychotherapist that wrote the letters that he's showing you now. And nowhere in that report does he say, my mommy hits me, my mommy beats me.
No, but it does talk about domestic violence, about how her boyfriend hits her and she hit him back.
Listen,
and that's from what he's seen.
The problem, Mr. Kern, is that you really are going to have to back off in interfering with what goes on in her house.
If your child sees domestic violence, should I not be concerned?
What I'm telling you is you have to back off as to what goes on in her house. You're not supposed to ask your son anything about what goes on in her house.
The therapist asked him that.
I didn't say the therapist. I said you're not supposed to ask him anything about what goes on in his house. And she's not supposed to ask him anything about what goes on in your house. You're both supposed to assume that each of you love him and want to take care of him and want to protect him and do the right thing. That's what you're supposed to assume. And you, Mr. Kern, are supposed to pay child support for that child, for this child, who you now don't have in your custody. I mean, I read the report, and the report indicated that when this forensic evaluation was done, your son says you don't work, and you're home all the time.
No, I'm a contractor, so I choose my own hours.
That's what he says. He says, my father doesn't work.
Well, I make sure I'm home when he's there.
I'm telling you what your son says, sir.
And I know what he says, and I'm going to
explain
it to you.
My father doesn't work. Well, that's not a good thing for a child to even think that his father doesn't work. That's what he said. Told the therapist,
because he's
my
5
father
years old, he thinks a magic wand pays the bills. Just because I go out of my way to make sure I'm home when he's there so we can spend time together. I work when he's not with me.
If you have him with you 4 days a week, sir, you should be working
It's
part
not
of that
4
time.
days a week.
That's what you told me.
I'm not home
You told
4
me
days a
that
week.
you
It
had
could be 3 days a week
50-50
one
custody.
Week. It could be 3 1 week. It could be 2 if my
Mr.
wife's
Kern,
off.
you've got an
she
answer
watches
for
him.
everything, sir. What you're asking me for is counsel fees. That's what you're asking me for.
Right.
Counsel fees. And I'm not granting those because he went to an attorney. I just want you to think about this. He went to an attorney and sought the advice of counsel who represented him when you filed an application to terminate the 50-50 custody arrangement. So you filed the petition first. He had to hire a lawyer. And he just said, I'd rather be on the offensive rather than on the defensive because that's his temperament.
Well, he didn't consult an attorney first. He stated that my father told him to take me to court.
No, I didn't.
He went, listen, did he have an attorney representing him?
At the ex parte hearing, he did, yes.
Did he have the attorney representing him in the case that you filed?
No.
I'm talking about the original date in May, because that you said was the original court date you had on your application. Did you have an attorney or not?
Yes.
I believe he had an attorney. His attorney started the process, so the attorney had necessity had to be with him. You don't get your counsel fees. It's unfortunate that both of you spent your money on legal fees, but you don't get your counsel fees, just like he doesn't get his. But he's better start to pay child support.
They can't find any child support because I've received a 2-cent check since the child support was ordered.
That is not true.
Well,
here you go.
If he doesn't pay the child support order, what I'm going to suggest you do is go to the court and ask to have his driver's license suspended. You too. The first thing that states have to do under federal guidelines is license. And as a contractor, he needs that. Otherwise, his wife is going to have to drive herself to work and him to work. Don't let him get away without paying child support. That's his obligation as a parent, to you and to you and to your children. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Your case is dismissed. He's not required to pay your counsel fees. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Roberta Schumann is suing her ex-boyfriend, Scott Beer, for a loan to buy a Harley-Davidson. Scott says Roberta stopped paying rent, so he owes her nothing.
Ms. Schumann, Mr. Beer and you were in a relationship for a period of time. You also lived with him for a period of time in his home. You claim that you made a loan to him so that he... Now, Mr. Beer acknowledges that you made this loan to him.
Correct.
He says that subsequently you moved in with him and you agreed to pay rent, which you didn't pay.
Correct.
And you made a new arrangement whereby he would pay your portion of the rent that you had agreed to pay and deduct that from the loan. And by the time he told you to leave, you had done several things. First, you stole a money jar from him, which you acknowledged that you did because you were annoyed. And then there were some other small items that ate into this loan. But you claim that there was never an agreement with regard to the rent in exchange for the loan.
That is correct.
Okay. On what date did you make the loan?
Well, there was two. There was 2 dates. One was 11.
One right after the other. I know. Give me the 2 dates.
Like April. April of 2007.
And when did you move in with Mr. Beer?
May 15th.
Right afterwards?
Yes.
Where had you been living?
I lived in my own townhouse in Blaine.
What did you do with your townhouse?
I sold it. I found out 3 days before I was moving in with Mr. Beer that he was sleeping with my best friend.
I don't care about that. You want to discuss that, go someplace else. That has nothing to do with me. You sold your townhouse, you moved in with him. What was the rent agreement?
$300 per person is what he charged his other tenants when they lived there before. It was a couple. He charged them $600.
And how much were you supposed to pay in rent?
He assumed $600.
No. What did you discuss?
It was $600 when my son was supposed to come and live with us. My son never came and lived with us. I never even had a key to the door.
I don't care whether you had a key to the door. You slept there, correct?
Correct.
And there was an agreement to pay rent. All I'm trying to do is figure out how much. How much, sir?
$600 for the basement.
Is that where she was living?
Yep.
She wasn't staying with you?
Most of the time.
What does that mean?
Off and on, she'd stay up in my place. But I mean, it was run of the house, too.
Where were her clothes?
In the basement.
Is it a legal apartment in the basement?
Yeah, it's a regular house.
And you had had a couple there living before?
Yes.
And how much was the rent before?
$600.
Okay.
Your Honor.
What?
There was also an extra bedroom downstairs in the basement that was never used while I lived there.
I don't care. I mean, I didn't get a legitimate answer from you, so I asked him. Okay. So you moved in May 13th, is that correct?
Yes.
How much was the loan for the motorcycle?
$3,100.
Okay, now you stole $100 from him in coins, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so now he owes you $3,000. You moved in on May 13th. When did you pay rent for the first time?
The actual, when I gave him the lump sum, I gave him $1,700 in July, and then 3 days after that, I gave him $600 for the rent that he claims...
Just a second. You gave him $3,000, according to you, for the motorcycle. I have deducted the $100 that you stole from him.
Mm-hmm.
You moved in May 13th. When did you pay rent for the first time? What month?
It would have been June, but my account closed.
So did you or did you not pay rent for June?
I did in July.
How many months did you live there?
Half of May, June, July. I moved out August.
When you moved out, did you take all your property?
No, I did not.
What property did you leave there?
My kitchen table, everything furnished his house. If I would have known...
Listen to me. Downstairs, in the basement, what items of furniture did you leave there?
A bed, a couch, and a TV.
Under what circumstances did you leave that stuff?
Because he threw me out. I had no key to the house. He threw me out. The end of August, I packed my bag. I stayed with a friend in Minneapolis.
Until when?
Until November 12th was when I moved out. I had surgery on my leg, November 10th.
Okay. Did you subsequently rent the basement to your townhouse?
I didn't rent my basement until January, I think, the first time I had somebody come in.
And when did you move out, Miss Beer? August what?
August 24th is when he bought the house.
So you owe him for 3.5 months' rent.
But he told me that my stuff was there in storage. If I wanted to, I could have put it in a storage, which was $85 a month.
I don't care if it was 80. I said you owe him so far 3.5 months' rent for the time you were living there. Half of May, June, July, and August. That's 3.5 months that you didn't pay. Or
Yes,
did you
I
pay?
Yes, I did, in July.
Did you pay him in July?
Yes, I did.
Did the check clear?
It was money orders that I had because he would only accept cash, which I agreed with that.
Well, because you gave him a bad check once.
It was a closed account.
Well, a closed account is a bad check. Did she subsequently pay you?
I have never seen that.
You've
Any
never
money?
seen the cash?
No, I
Okay,
did not.
so show me. Don't talk
Oh,
to
my
him.
God.
Talk to me. Show me what you claim you paid him for July.
July 24th, I paid him $1,700 cash because he said that these checks, which he had reserved
Show
one,
me.
I had cash. He wouldn't take anything but cash. And then 3 days later, I paid him for August rent, which was $600.
Did you own a townhouse?
Yes.
You're a businesswoman.
Yes,
If you
I'm
own a
real
townhouse,
estate
then you're a businesswoman. If you're a real estate agent and things aren't going well, then you don't give him cash. I don't believe that you gave him cash without a receipt. Did you get a receipt?
No, I did not.
Yeah, then I don't believe you.
I had a check that was revolving. This was my business account.
I don't believe you. You're a businesswoman, a real estate agent. Real estate agents don't pay cash for their rent, especially when they write out a check for a closed account. They may pay rent, and then they say, may I have a receipt, please, because I need that for my records.
Well, every single day that I came home, he would lock the door because I didn't have a key.
Then move out. Then move out. How old are you?
I tried. It costed me almost $700 to get a mover to come in there. If
My
I would
dear,
have known
you just told me you gave him $1,700 in cash.
I did.
If you didn't have a key to the house and things were miserable, then you move out.
He made my life miserable. As soon as I got there, I wanted to get out.
Very good. Is there any reason why you didn't rent that apartment after she moved out?
Well, at first, her stuff was in the way. I mean,
What
it's pretty...
stuff?
Oh, please,
Her
you
couch,
used my stuff.
What stuff?
Her couch, her bed.
Well, that's all
But
right.
she-
You can
I
move
mean,
somebody in there. You rent it furnished. What?
Exactly, but she also said that while she was gone, that she just needed a month to get her stuff moved out. I said, all right, I'm going to start charging you rent. Well, then it was 2 months
did
after
not.
that her stuff was still there. So, I mean, yes,
It was
I finally
storage
did.
fee. If I would have known that, it would have been $85 a month to move my stuff into storage. He agreed to leave my stuff there until I could
That's
find
fine.
a place to live.
That's fine. You still owe him for rent, which I don't believe you paid. What else?
And then when she did move out, I got damages of my doors.
Did you file a counterclaim, sir?
I did not.
Then I can't help you.
All right. But how about for my Harley-Davidson jacket that she took back from me?
Do you have a
He threw it on the
counterclaim, sir?
garbage and said I didn't want it.
Am I speaking to you? Do you file a counterclaim, sir?
No, I did not.
Then I cannot help you.
Okay.
So far, you owe her $900
Okay.
on the loan. Got it?
Yep.
I've given you credit for 3.5 months' rent, which I don't believe she paid, and which she agreed to pay. Got it?
Okay.
Do you have your bike?
I have my bike.
Good. That's all. Thank you.
Deborah Didia is suing the father of her grandchildren, 23-year-old George Kwitek, for vandalizing her car. Deborah says during a fight with her daughter, George slammed the dashboard with his fist.
Mr. Dia, this is your daughter's former boyfriend, and it is your claim that he is responsible for ruining the dashboard on your car. He was in the car. You were not in the car. In the car was Mr. Whitek and your daughter.
Yes.
He was the passenger. She was the driver. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you sit down? Daughter, stand up. We'll see if there's first any liability, and then if there is, we'll find out what the damages were. Jessica, how long were you and George a couple?
3 years.
Now, this whole argument, I gather, in the...
It was sometime in March.
Give me a date.
March 9th.
Thank you, George. This argument started, Jessica, I gather from George, because you had used a cell phone and ran up a bill of almost $900. Is that right, George?
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother was paying that bill?
No, I was.
But it's your mother's...
It was in my mother's name.
It was
yes,
in your
ma'am.
mother's name. So you were initially annoyed about the use of
I was
this...
very upset, ma'am.
Very upset. And I don't blame you. What kind of stupidity is that, to rack up a $900 phone bill?
Actually, it wasn't $900, and...
How much was it?
It was, I was only over my minutes, like, only a little bit, and we shared a family plan between me, him, his brother, and his sister, and between all of us, we racked up the bill. It wasn't just my cell phone.
What was yours?
Mine was probably about $100 over.
I mean, are you in business or anything? Is there any reason why you were $100 over your cell phone?
No, it was probably just text messages.
For 39 cents, you could send a letter. In any event, on March 9th, you had just gotten this bill. You were very annoyed. You were in the car with her. She was on the phone while driving. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. We had stopped to get...
She was on the phone while she was driving?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she actually moving when she was on the phone?
No, actually, we stopped at the gas station. She was on the phone, and then we started driving away, and that's when I told her to get off the phone. I was very rude about her getting off the phone, which is why we got into the argument.
You were rude?
Yes,
you
ma'am.
said something like, get off the...
effing phone, yes, ma'am.
So you didn't think I was that hip? Hip, whatever it is. Whatever it is that I am. And she said to you...
Don't talk to me like that.
So what did you do, Jessica?
Well, at the time, I was speaking to my mother on the phone. I was having an important conversation.
About what?
About my children.
You have children?
We have 2 kids together.
How old are your children?
One's 21 months and one's 9 months.
How old are you?
19. Well, I was having a conversation with my mother on the phone, and...
Well, just a second. Where were you coming from?
His mother's house.
What were you doing there?
Dropping my children off.
What day of the week was this?
It was a Tuesday.
What time?
Around 11.
A Tuesday at 11. Is that your day off?
No, ma'am. I was laid off from work due to the weather.
So why weren't you out collecting cans? You have 2 children.
I was...
You're just a... The answer is you never thought of it until I mentioned it to you. And it's a Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning. Were you off from work?
Well, we were going to look for an apartment, so yes, I was off work.
What kind of work do you do?
I was working with my mom doing payroll.
Doing payroll for what?
For companies. I do payroll data entry at her office.
She pays you, or the company pays you?
The company pays me.
Check or cash?
Check.
How much do you earn a week?
Probably about $300.
What do you do with the money?
I save it, and I pay bills with it.
Who takes care of your children?
His mother.
When he told you to get off the phone and was rude, did you hit him?
No.
What did you do?
At first, I hung up the phone with my mother, and I pulled over the side of the road because he was screaming and flipping out, and I wasn't going to... I pulled over, and I told him to get out of my car, and that's when he decided that he was going to bash my dashboard in.
Is that what happened, George?
To some extent.
Finish it.
Well, I didn't bash the dashboard. I just slammed my fist on the dashboard and caused a little crack on it and dented it a little bit. But what happened was she was driving and she yelled at me back, and she was driving recklessly. She pulled off the side of the road in an irrational manner and told me to get out the car. I told her I wasn't getting out of the car because I wasn't going to get stranded miles from home. And that's when she pursued to argue with me and run around the car, tell me to get out, ran inside the diner to call the cops. And at that point, that's when I decided to leave.
When Jessica got off the phone, she got really angry at me and started hitting and punching me. How come you left that out? Was that not important to you?
Well,
or was that a lie? Listen to me, George.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at me. Did you leave that out because when you wrote this, it wasn't true?
No, ma'am, it is true.
So why didn't you tell me that?
I don't think it was that important to the case.
At that point, I had every right to hit her back. However, I would never do that. That's your whole defense.
Yes, ma'am. That's when I turned into the dashboard.
I don't owe Deborah any money for the damaged dashboard. Her daughter was the one who instigated the incident. She was the one who started hitting me first. She's lucky that I'm not the type of man who would hit a woman. That was your whole defense. How come you left that out?
I have no idea.
You got to know how to do something, George, other than to make babies. Making babies is very easy.
Yes, ma'am.
Fish make babies, dogs make babies, cats make babies. Quiet! Polar bears make babies, parakeets make babies. It doesn't take any brains.
You're right.
Are you working now?
Yes, ma'am. I've been working for a year and a half in construction. Like I said, I was only laid off at the time because it was the winter time, and I was laid off because I work outside all day.
Are you two living together?
No.
Who are you living with?
I'm currently living with my mother until I leave to go into the Army.
And where are your children?
Living with me, with my mom.
And what's going to happen to them when you go into the Army?
My mom and their dad, George, decided that they wanted to share custody, and so they'll each take them for half the week until after I finish boot camp, and then they're going to come live with me.
Oh. How much is your dashboard? I have the estimate. You don't need any more babies, Jessica. You have enough children now for a very long time. Did your mother tell you that?
Yes.
Ditto. You have other children at home?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many?
I have 3 still living at home.
3? How old are they?
Two 17-year-olds and a 12-year-old.
How are you going to take care of these 2 babies when you have them?
Well, we own our own business, and me and my husband are going to take turns taking care of them, working opposite shifts during the day, and the other days his mom will have them. It's only for about 7 to 8 weeks.
Your mother stays at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Who supports the family?
My father does, and I do.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,622. That's all. Step out.
Daniel Henoyan says former friend Kaylin Cole owes for a loan to get her car out of impound.
Who is this?
This is my mother, Your Honor.
How old are you?
22.
And you, sir?
35.
You work in the same place of business?
At one time we did, yeah.
And I gather from reading your complaint, sir, that despite the fact that this young lady is much too young for you, you had a little crush on her.
A little bit, yeah. At one time, and then I found out her age.
And you needed some money because your car was an impound. How come you asked the plaintiff for a loan?
Well, I was at work one night, and I was frustrated because my car was impounded, and he had asked me what was wrong, and I told him...
What was your car doing impounded?
I'm not sure. I think I was, it was a charge. I was arrested, and my car was impounded.
What do you mean you're not sure? You think my car was arrested? I was arrested, my car was impounded. What kind of ridiculousness is that? I asked you a question. What was your car doing in impound?
I had been arrested.
There you go. For what?
They thought that my car was stolen, but it wasn't, in fact, and they impounded my car.
Who were you driving with?
A friend.
Male or female?
Male.
Was he arrested too?
No.
Just you?
Yes.
Who was driving?
I was.
How old is your friend?
I think he is 22.
So they found out that your car wasn't stolen?
Yes.
How long was the car in impound?
14 days.
You mean it took the police department 14 days to figure out that it wasn't stolen?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you speeding?
No. A cop had just saw me down the road and pulled me over.
How many children do you have? You have to think about that?
Two by birth, three, I have a stepson also. She's my oldest.
Is the younger one smarter?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Hanoyan gave you money to get your car out of impound, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, Mr. Hanoyan, now that I've sort of kneaded this case a little bit, I don't like slippery, you agreed to loan her the money.
Yes, I did.
And in exchange, she would allow you to have possession of the car. You didn't have the car at the time for 2 months, and within that 2-month period of time, she would return to you the $535, and you would give her back a car. That was your agreement.
That was the agreement.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you give her the money?
On May 27th.
And when did she let you take the car?
On the same day, well, she drove it at first, but she eventually gave me the car.
And how long did you keep the car?
About 2.5 weeks.
What happened?
Well, one night she asked to borrow it.
What did she say?
She said, I need to go with my friends. She was always with this one crony girlfriend that she'd go and they'd go do an errand. She didn't say where or whatever, but then she came back. She was way late, and I was worried about she was going to take the car. I was trusting her the whole time. I was trusting her. She did bring back the original time. The second time she borrowed the car, she said she was going to pick up her mom from the Greyhound bus depot. Never saw her again after that. Never called, never called. I tried to reach her, and she just denied my calls and cussed me out and stuff like that.
Now, Miss Cole, you say you took the car back because?
I took the car back because Mr. Hanoyan had come over. He would come over like once or twice a week to show me the car, and he, in fact, in the contract said that he would fix the car, any damages, or keep up the oil, keep gas in it, tune up,
which I did.
All kinds. And every time he would come over, in fact, he hadn't gotten an oil change. I told him 3 times to get an oil change. Every time he came over.
You only had the car for a week?
No, he had the car for about a month.
No, that's a lie.
I took the car back about 2 weeks before the end of the contract.
How much money had you paid him?
I paid him about. I given him like $20 here, $40 there every time he would come over.
Miss
Probably
Cole,
about half.
Miss Cole, listen to me.
Yes.
You paid him nothing.
That's right.
Because if you had paid him something, you would have said so in your answer. So you paid him nothing.
No, I paid him like $20 here, $40 there every time he came over.
That's what you just said to me. I just told you you were a liar. Because in your answer, big long story, nowhere did it say you gave him any money. You get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if you didn't like the way he was taking care of your car, you had every right to take it back. You still owe him the $535.
He did, in fact, breach his contract. He had told me that he had a driver's license. I actually have a copy.
What does that have to do? Listen to me. Listen to me. You did say, listen to me, madam, mother, the younger one is smarter, right?
Yes.
If you choose to take the car back because he did not have a driver's license, he wasn't taking good care of it, that's fine. You still owe him the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Oh, I understand completely.
Did you try to explain it to her?
Yeah, I tried to explain it to her, but I was never clear on the entire situation. And
now you're clear.
Well, Dan
had
was
the
calling
car.
me.
He had the car.
Yeah.
The car was a mere perk for him. He was to keep the car, but she was to pay him. Keep the car for that 2 months. I was a thank you.
But
thank
he was calling me for the money way from the very beginning.
Well, because, listen to me, he shouldn't have called you.
No.
Shouldn't have called you, shouldn't have bothered you. But I want you to understand the agreement that your daughter had, because she's got this vacant look between her ears that frightens me. The car loan was a perk. Allowing him to use the car merely said, thank you for loaning me this money. I will pay you back. The fact that you took the car back because you didn't like the way he was taking care of them, that you don't have to pay him. Oh, I have to go now. Listen to me. If you hang around with babies, that's what's going to happen.
You're right.
She's a baby, not a very smart one. I don't know about you. Doesn't sound like you're very clever either. You get involved with somebody's 22 years old.
Yeah.
22 years old at work doesn't sound too smart.
I made a mistake, that's for sure.
Well, it was a big mistake. Meanwhile, you're entitled to your $535 judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Judy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Do you struggle with finding the right diet? You're not alone. Millions want a plan that truly fits them. It's time to revolutionize your approach to nutrition with personalized nutrition plans. Imagine having a dietary guide created just for you. That's the power of AI-driven recommendations. With advanced technology, we can analyze your unique needs. Let's break down this process step by step. First, you provide information about your lifestyle. This includes your age, weight, and activity level. Next, consider your dietary preferences. Are you vegan, vegetarian, or a meat lover? After gathering your data, the AI analyzes it. It looks for patterns, nutritional gaps, and personal goals. This analysis helps create tailored recommendations. Now, let's explore an example. Sarah, a busy professional, wants to eat healthier. She inputs her current eating habits and goals. After analysis, the AI suggests meal plans that fit her lifestyle. These meals are quick to prepare yet nutritious. Understanding this process is crucial. Personalized nutrition plans can lead to better health outcomes. You'll find it easier to stick to healthy eating when the plan matches your needs. In summary, personalized nutrition offers tailored dietary recommendations. It's based on your unique lifestyle and preferences. Say goodbye to one-size-fits-all diets and hello to a healthier you. Ready to transform your eating habits? Start your personalized nutrition journey today. Visit our website to get started.